The first question that you asked, I thought he was very wordy.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was a technique he was using, or just the fact. Then every other question, I thought he handled it just fine, but other than lying. I didn't know. We were all sitting there saying, you know, Peter's going like this, and Suzanne's going, yeah, and I'm going this. So I didn't know if
Did that bother anybody
Talk
else?
about wordy.
Wordiness? Was that something that popped into any of you? It did to me.
Just the first question only.
Yeah.
Is all I meant.
Generally speaking, I think you could have been more succinct with several of those, especially the first one.
Gotcha.
Try to, again, 30 words or less is a goal on almost anything. Because what happened more times than not, it's less important for the newspaper, although, geez, you know, they get to write all that down if they don't have a recorder, or try to reconstruct it, and you've got some fairly lengthy sentences or groups of sentences. The electronic media are even worse. You've got 10 seconds. What am I going to take from that? I don't know. You know, so your chances of getting misquoted or getting taken out of context,
Or splicing two parts together to make that
and
succinct
creating another whole
bite.
image becomes your problem. You've done it. That's what I was saying earlier. Even though it appears you're misquoted, you've probably done it yourself. You've said it somehow, but it's been misconstrued or put together in a fashion, as Robin's saying, that it's not really you. That's how it happens. That's how it happens.
But you did come across as being very genuine and enthusiastic, the enthusiasm.
Oh,
across.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You carry. That's generally. I mean, if you do the plan we're talking about, you've anticipated most of the difficult stuff anyways. You can relax and you can be this caring being that you are. What usually happens when people are unprepared, they're nervous, they go into themselves, they withdraw into themselves and become almost defensive physically because they don't know what the hell that reporter is going to ask, and that scares them. And that's being read by the people out there as somebody who doesn't care, who's cold, reserved, not really into it. You know, what is this person doing in my school? That's the image. See, that's why it's so important to prepare yourself and to take the time to get comfortable, because that's the perception.
Appearing in control versus
Yeah.
nervous and, oh, what are they really trying to cover up? What are they trying to hide? Why are they so anxious about what's being asked of them?
And I'll make the point again that no matter whether we're talking about the media or one-on-one with a parent or a constituent or in a group meeting, these same principles apply. If you're talking to the school board with parents in the audience, you've got to think of that image. This is how I'm coming across. I've got to be relaxed. Do whatever you can do to get yourself prepared and relaxed, or they're going to get that same reading. It's no difference whether there's a camera on or not. It really doesn't matter. Those same signals are being sent. That's the message here. We need one more volunteer here too, actually.
Two.
Auto
Two. What about rock, paper, scissors?
Thanks for your confidence.
Keep yourself comfortable.
Should I stand?
After following Nate and I, you look pretty good.
Do your toes.
I've got it. All set?
Yep. You're all doing a good job of it. You are centering nicely. You're not weaving, or at least.
No, they're not.
What we'll do too, because we'll probably run out of time, we're going to play this tape back so you can then see yourself. What we'll do is make a copy of this, so you can then
That would be wonderful.
Blackmail.
sit down and look at it and
So
think
you
about
send
what we
my
talked
mother-in-law.
about.
Yes.
And I think that will be helpful, you know, even several times.
Yes, you'll see things every time you look at it. And the whole goal is, you know, learning yourself and figuring out things. You can always do something better. Always. All right, Dave. I'm going to leave you as principal. How about that?
Oh,
No,
not
that's
fair.
not fair. He is.
That's where all the action is anyway, so come on.
No.
Could still get some overall issues
I'm
though.
gonna come up with so many athletic questions, for heaven's sake.
But it may not seem as easy. Okay, as principal, you obviously are in charge of the high school in this situation, correct?
That's correct.
The tendency in today's world is towards a lot of families choosing to homeschool. What's the status of homeschooling here in Portsmouth, and what's the impact on the high school?
It's very minimal here in Portsmouth. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm only aware of 1 or 2 families that are in fact doing that, and in both cases, neither youngsters ever been actually at the high school. So I don't really have much knowledge of their particular situation.
So, neither of those kids that have actually set foot in the high school.
That's correct. They've been home schooled for years prior to even coming to high
Isn't
school.
that shortchanging them?
Like I say, I don't really know these youngsters at all. I don't know their particular circumstances. So I think it would be rather unfair for me to comment.
But as a
on these cases.
professional, you've been an educator, or did you go directly to principal?
No, I've been a teacher prior to being a principal.
Teacher. So you're a professional educator. Don't you have some worries about the level of education these kids are getting in homeschooling?
Yeah, well, I certainly think that the Portsmouth schools have an outstanding educational program. And I think we have a lot to offer for everybody. But certainly also on the other hand, we're talking about a specific case that I don't know anything about the details of that particular case.
So are you saying that somebody could, as a parent, without any professional training and education, teach their kids at home and get the quality or better that they're getting in Portsmouth schools?
Like I said, this is a unique situation which I'm not particularly familiar, so I can't comment on those particular cases, and I prefer not to.
So you don't have any personal feelings about whether homeschooling is good or bad?
I think that, again, the Portsmouth school system has a great deal to offer to everybody. I think we do a fine job. I think kids who graduate from Portsmouth High School have a good background. So I'm certainly pro-active the public school systems.
And test scores of kids through the high school here, testing anymore is a big deal. How are the test scores? How do you rate compared to other New Hampshire high schools?
I think we rate very favorably. I think also we have to keep in mind one of our major goals is to encourage students to take this test. We encourage many more students now to take the test than might have taken 10 years ago, let's say. As a result, the average score might be slightly down because of doing that, but I think it's educationally sound thing to do.
Why?
Because students at some point in time obviously are leaving the high school, although they may not now have intentions to go on to further schooling. That can change in a few years. And,
Do you think these SAT scores and the like are therefore valuable? And if so, why?
I think it's just one measure out of many that a post-secondary institution can use to make determinations about its admissions. But again, it's only one of a number of factors that should be taken into account.
Given that, what chance would somebody in a homeschooling situation have at college or university?
I really don't know that. I've never done any research on that, or even read any reports regarding that type of situation.
So you're not concerned at all about, homeschooling, kids not getting through these testing programs?
I think that homeschooling is an option that parents have. My guess is they all take it very seriously, looking at their own child as a unique individual and make their decisions based on their own philosophy regarding that.
So how should a parent proceed on that? If they want to try to decide whether to send a school to Portsmouth High School or to teach them at home?
I think they ought to thoroughly examine that before making any final decision. I certainly think that they ought to be in close contact with the school department, find out whatever information they can regarding what's happening in the schools, how they can keep in touch with the schools to make sure that their child is getting at least an equivalent education at home. We really need to get running here.
Okay. Okay. Comments? Thoughts?
Some ums.
Be kind.
Can I say something else? I don't know whether
Yeah,
I do or
probably do.
not.
When you listen to the tape, we'll make a copy of it and get it back here so you can all look at it several more times and think about how you did and what you'd like to do differently, but you can listen for that.
I think he did a nice job of
Yeah.
not getting his personal opinion in there of saying that I think it's really terrible, and the kids are being shortchanged or something. I think he did a nice job of getting out of that. And we
Although you
kept
set him
trying.
up for that
A
trap
couple of times. he
quite
said
a
that.
number of
Yeah.
times,
We'd
and
be done.
actually, in reviewing the tape, that'll be something to look at, because actually, in some instances, when you were answering the question about the homeschooling, you were saying, I think that it was a little confusing as to whether you thought that personally, or whether the school district, you know, looked at it that way, and,
Yeah, but you did a good job of coming back to the point you
Mhm.
established.
Yeah, and
Which is-
sticking with it.
You got your message out there, you thought about your message, and you stuck to it. You didn't generally allow me to take you down the speculation trail.
Even though he tried.
Yeah, which is good. That was good. And that can happen. I know we need to. Other comments?
no, we'll make time for you.
I think
Absolutely, Peter.
generally, that was a good job. I think you were relaxing more, but I think you were generally quite comfortable, credible through the process.
And knowledgeable, I think he came
Yeah.
across as knowledgeable and caring.
Absolutely.
Adjourn?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
for those kids, you know, the parents need to investigate what's right for the
Is
kids.
there a star mark that I?
No, choose your mark. I'll take the space that I want later.
Yeah, oh, gee. There's not room for 2 stars.
Are you weight on 1 foot, over 1 foot?
Yeah. I'm crunched up, pretty good.
Do you feel the difference, by the way?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is very good technique.
It does
Yeah.
really help.
The first time I heard that, I had to go out and speak before a group of several thousand people, and I was obviously going to be nervous. I knew that, and I always am before any session. But that worked like a charm. I've never forgotten it ever since. Well, Mr. Budget.
Mr. Budget.
Not
Not Mr. Athletic, huh?
We might get to that.
Probably.
We'll start off with the budget area. And in general, there's some tough issues that have been reported in the paper. Interestingly enough, one of the positive things that the school system has been credited in doing is this whole strategic planning process. Can you speak about that?
Interesting. The budget here in Portsmouth has been a very difficult process over the last couple of years due to the closure of Ps and a number of local issues, including the economy. We have started into a strategic planning process that has allowed a lot of refocusing on a number of issues, and that includes the budget. We are indeed, this time around in our budgeting process, looking at an attempt to, rather than planning the budget, we're trying to budget the plan. The plan being the strategic planning process.
Isn't it largely smoke and mirrors, or
I don't understand what you mean by smoke and mirrors.
you have a point where you want to go. You've got a budget. You're trying to get all this through. Isn't this cloak of strategic planning really nothing more than to put a good coat on what it is you're going to present as a budget anyway?
Gee, I look at the strategic planning process as a top to bottom look at our system from the inside out, of looking at it from the very grassroots, from the lowest levels of wherever it may be in the system, up through the very top, and that includes the budgeting process.
Yeah.
And I don't believe it's smoke and mirrors at all.
Is the strategic planning process costing you anything?
There will be a cost of any change that we make, as there is a cost now to having an educational system. It would be the intention that this plan would produce the best result educationally, and therefore allow us to allocate the educational dollars to the best part of the plan.
Isn't it true that some of your deliberations might involve potential layoff of teachers?
I think that's pretty far down the road at this point. We're still in the very initial stages of the planning process.
Are you saying that there will or will not be layoffs?
I'm saying it's very early in the planning process to
So there may be layoffs.
There may be a number of things that would result as a result of this planning process. I don't think we have added or deleted any option from that at this point in time.
So, but they're likely to be cuts.
I don't see cuts coming at this time. I believe that the community of Portsmouth has, for a number of years, been a very strong educational supporter, and they've done that with a number of their resources, including their tax dollars.
But you cited yourself the example of P's closing that's got to have a reduction in student input, there bound to be cuts you can take there. You already are one of the higher per student ratio fee schools in the neighborhood. How do you account for that?
I think